Welcome to Leadership Matters with Dr. Sheryl White, Dr. Undraye Howard, and Dr. Loretta Howard. This is your forum for exploring and discussing challenges that are faced by public and nonprofit leaders. And now, Leadership Matters.
Good afternoon, and thank you for tuning in to Leadership Matters with the People's Doctors, informing leaders, inspiring solutions. I'm Sheryl White, and I'll be your lead co-host for today. But with me today are my fabulous co-host as well. So Dr. Loretta and Dr. Dre.
Hello.
Hi, Dr. Sheryl.
Yeah, always pleased to have you. And then today our special guest is Jacqueline Manley, and she is a licensed marriage and family therapy clinician. And did I say that correctly, Jacqueline?
That's fine.
Marriage and family
Therapist.
Marriage and family therapist. So pleased to have you with us to talk about this topic that we see in our homes and in our workplace, and that is stress. And so today we're going to be kind of diving into stress in the workplace and our response to it, one might say. So without further ado, we'll start with our questions from the audience. You always give us wonderful questions, and we try to pair them with our topic for the day. So I'm going to start with the first audience question. And Dr. Loretta, I'm going to throw it to you first.
Okay.
A high performer who is missing small details, minimally engaged during meetings, and they seem to be slightly less energetic, perhaps approaching or perhaps are already burnt out. Yet, every time I ask, they insist they're fine and they don't want to slow down. What should I do?
Wow, that's a good question. Always appreciate those audience questions. But for me, the first thing I would want to do is like have a private conversation with them, maybe let them know that I've seen some changes in their behavior, like the lack of energy, as you said, or minimally being engaged, and especially if they were really engaged a lot before. So I would want to have that private conversation. And I know you said you're fine, but if there's kind of offer if there's anything I can help with, or if there's a workload or something, maybe they need a reduction in it. And always let them know that my door is open to talk to them. And if necessary, if they need to go to HR, maybe they want to have a conversation, a private one, if there's an EAP or something in the organization, but just let them know there are resources in case they are dealing with something or just burnt out.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Loretta. And how about yourself, Dr. Dre?
Yeah, I would almost say ditto to what Dr. Loretta said. So, I think the high performer who says they're fine probably isn't fine, right? And so I think for the supervisor, I think, giving them their space while being respectful and acknowledging who they are in terms of a high achiever. And so I think, name what you see. I mean, don't try to diagnose. You're not here to diagnose. Just name it. What are you seeing? I noticed that you seem to be a little bit disengaged, or things have been slipping in terms of details. And then making sure you always want to separate the person from the performance, right? High performers will often equate slowing down with failing. So make clear that this isn't a performance conversation, right? And then give them an off ramp. I think that's Dr. Loretta said. Give them a bit of an off ramp instead of saying take some time off. If there's something you could take off your plate, what would it be? So you kind of again respect their space as well. And so making sure you just kind of respect that, because high achievers will sense if you're trying to take things away or if you're trying to change the flow. And they take it personally. And so you want to make sure you respect that high performer, because maybe they might be going through some things and you want to respect that as well. So.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Dre. How about yourself, Jacqueline? Anything you might add?
No, I think that they've covered it well, very well.
Great. Wonderful. So as we dive into managing stress in the workplace, what can leaders do to stay fortified themselves and protect their teams I'll ask you, Jacqueline, our fabulous guest for today, to maybe share a little bit about yourself and your connection to this topic.
Mhm. Well, thank you for having me, first of all. And I would say that I've spent years in management and coaching and providing therapy services to individuals, couples, and families. And I've learned actually the hard way with working with employees. I had one employee tell me that when I was stressed, which I didn't even recognize I was stressed, everyone feels it.
Mm.
And that was an eye opener for me because I didn't even recognize, like I said, that their stress was there. And I was felt like I was just doing what I needed to do to get things done. And so sometimes when I know we model the behavior, and for me to have an employee tell me that was really eye-opening. And then I went on the journey of trying to figure out what tools do I need to use that I'm familiar with and giving other people, but I'm not using them for myself.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, we're pleased to have you here. And I'll say I'm double pleased to have you here because Jacqueline is my sister. So I've
Wow.
had a up close, one might say, observation of your journey, and certainly you've helped me with mine. So again, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Dre, I'll toss it over to you.
Right, great. I'm waiting to get to the part where we can ask Jacqueline some questions about Dr. Cheryl. Get the real stress going on here. That's what I'm talking about. I want to jump to that part, but we'll wait. So, um, so let's talk a little bit about, differentiating the stress, right? Stress that leaders may go through versus maybe what their team might go through. And I guess my question to you, Jacqueline, is we talk about some of the basics like leadership pressure. What makes leadership stress different from perhaps the stress that most employees may experience? Is there a difference?
Yeah, I think that leaders often carry I believe, unintentional
Mm,
stress, as I just talked about, even for myself, and then also intentional in the sense of having to have the decision stress that's carried. And by that, I mean they're in a state of cognitive fatigue or emotional strain that can really occur when we're facing complex or high stakes choices or under tight deadlines. And it can appear um, for others around them
mm,
that we're being impulsive or this is habitual, or even we receive from our staff maybe
mm,
avoidant behaviors. And so the choices that affect us are often like budgets, timelines, people, and outcomes that creates a unique pressure for both emotional and operational needs. And the leaders don't manage that pressure well, it can stay contained, or if it's not managed well, it can spread.
mm, mm. Wow. Yeah, that's great. Great. And I think sometimes I don't know if leaders are supposed to make those who are on their team feel the pressure too. I mean, that's something we can get into a bit later. But
Yeah,
I know there's one side that says, well, if the leader feels the pressure, that leader's pressure and stress should be shared with the rest of the team as well. And I'm not sure how
right,
healthy or unhealthy that might be as well. So, because sometimes it
right.
does bleed into that.
I'm gonna flag it as unhealthy.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All
I don't,
right.
yeah, I mean,
It's
we can weigh in
interesting. It
now.
is unhealthy. And one
Mhm.
of the things that's interesting, even today, I had a client earlier who's a professional in the healthcare system, and she's coming with a lot of anxiety. And she said, I think I've normalized this for so
Mm,
long because
mm,
for women,
Mhm.
we see it as a high sense of urgency to respond.
mm. Yeah.
And I thought that was huge because she recognized it. She just got her doctorate,
Mhm.
and that high performance has been what's driven her. But yet now she's looking at it and she's wanting to have a child, and she feels that anxiety all in
Hmm.
her body.
Mhm.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
yeah, that whole notion of chronic stress, where
Mhm.
it just becomes normalized is definitely
Right.
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 Something to think about. You want to say anything else about chronic stress, Jacqueline?
No, I think that we will touch on that,
Okay.
or we did. Did we
Mhm.
not? I think we touched on it, so I'll wait.
Mhm. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, I enjoyed your answer, Jacqueline, and you mentioned how it was one of your employees who identified that they felt you were under stress. So I just
Mhm.
want to ask you, as far as the impact on teams, what does unmanaged leadership stress look like from an employee perspective?
Yeah, I think that the employees recognize it through our sense of urgency, our tone, and maybe sometimes there may be some inconsistencies. I'm telling you to take care of yourself, but I'm telling you also to hurry and get that done,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
We're setting unclear expectations. So even the subtle things, the rush, the messages, the reactive decisions, or the visible frustration can create anxiety and also confusion.
Mhm.
Great, thanks.
Mhm.
Okay.
I mean, but taking care of, I mean, I'm sorry to interject again, but as a leader, I mean, take care of the assignment first and then take care of yourself second. That's okay.
Jacqueline, you will notice that Dr. Dre is our agitator.
Dr. Cheryl,
Yeah.
we're asking Jacqueline here now. I just
Yeah.
want to know, get the job done first and then take care of yourself because we got deadlines, we got budgets to meet. So,
Right. And I always tell people, and to be effective, you have to be your best self for you first and
mm,
foremost,
okay.
in order to be your best self for the team, for the environment, for the project.
Yeah.
So you kind of really do have to take a time of pause and take care of you to get back in the game and to excel.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Mhm. Okay. So maybe let's continue to talk about some solutions, healthy coping mechanisms. What are the most effective stress management practices that you'd recommend for leaders?
Yeah, good question. I think first of all and foremost, the coping skills begins before we go into the office. It's really about taking care of yourself. And our bodies demand self-care. And when I say that, I tell people all the time, you have to take your meds.
Mm,
And it doesn't mean your medication, but it's meditation, exercise, diet, and sleep. Those are the things that really make an impact, that really help us to strive. There are many ways that you can do that. Um, Being able to, let's say, starting with the meditation. For a lot of people, they say, "Oh, I don't have time to sit still and do nothing." Well, I ask you to just sit still and breathe. A lot of the thing that I really hated the most about my Apple Watch is really what I've learned to love the most, and that was the breathe. Being able to just take time and breathe really makes a difference. And you can start with 1 to 3 minutes for 3 times a day. It can really help to manage the anxiety levels and really help you to feel energized, which is really important. And then exercise, either exercising 30 minutes, 5 days a week, or 3 days a week for an hour can really, you can see the difference. And then diet, we're not talking about going on a diet, but focusing on whole and anti-inflammatory foods that can naturally balance your nervous system. Many people may not know what those things are. You can ask your doctor and they can recommend some things that really prevent cortisol or stress hormone spikes that causes the stress and it sustains your energy. So you want to look into that. And the sleep,
mm,
ironically, and I was really bad at this,
mm.
ironically, professionals need 7 to 9 hours of sleep
Wow.
for optimal performance.
Mm,
And I can tell you, a lot of people come with, they think it's very normal to sleep 4 or 5 hours, six if it's a good day for them, but you really need to sleep. And one of the impacts of sleep, what people also don't realize, is our phones, our computers, the digital media really interrupts our sleep because it kind of tricks our brain to alertness and it suppresses the sleep hormones, which causes psychological overstimulation. So working on sleep really does make a difference. And then in order to also sleep, one of the things, I'm just going to have a glass of wine before I go to bed. And statistically, we shouldn't have wine at least 2 to 3 hours before we go to bed, right? Because again, it awakens us. So focusing on those things can really help.
Okay, great. I appreciated all of those. And so I'm going to say, doctor, y'all take your meds. Meditation, exercise, diet, and sleep.
Right.
So sounds like we need to take a break.
Yep.
And when we come back, we'll look forward to continuing the conversation with Jacqueline Manley, focusing more on how leaders can manage their own stress, but then also thinking about how leaders might um, step back and look at ways that they might not stress out employees. So please stay with us. We'll be right back with more on Leadership Matters, informing leaders, inspiring solutions. And we are back with more on Leadership Matters with the People's Doctors. I am Sheryl White and delighted to have my co-hosts with me today, Dr. Loretta Howard and Dr. Undraye Howard, as well as our special guest, our our licensed marriage family therapist, Jacqueline Manley, is with us today, also really helping us to dive into and look at this topic as relates to managing stress as leaders in the workplace for ourselves as well as our teams. So, Dr. Dre, I'm going to toss it over to you.
Yeah, I want to, I'm really excited we had, and this is kind of our conflict we've been dealing. This is our second round of doing this, and just want to invite people to join us. We've got our second strategies for dealing with conflict session coming up in September. Again, you want to be in the place. We've got wonderful strategies for dealing with conflict. Conflict seems to be such a big piece in the workplace today, and so Dr. Loretta, Dr. Cheryl is going to join me as we talk about strategies for dealing with conflict, as well as hear from leaders across the nation on some of the strategies they also have in their little toolbox in terms of dealing with conflict. So this is a second opportunity. We had the first one, I think, scheduled back in June. This is back by popular demand, September 25th. Love for you to join us. There is a QR code there too as well. Bring your team with you as part of the process. So we're really looking forward to strategies for dealing with conflict. Conflict is prevalent. And of course, folks know if you paid attention and stayed tuned last month, we talked about conflict. And so we're actually kind of extending that conversation in this particular session. So hope you can be with us September 25th on strategies for dealing with conflict.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Dre. And I think now we will go to our second audience question. And again, we appreciate and thank you for sending in those questions and topics. It gives us some food for thought. So, Dr. Dre, I think I tossed the first one over to Dr. Loretta first, so I'll toss this one over to you. So the second audience question says, our unit has lost a couple of team members. The remaining staff are suddenly feeling are suddenly carrying double the workload. Leadership wants us to, quotation marks they have here, push through until they can hire in the next 3 to 5 months. But my team is already showing signs of strain. I'm reaching my limit, but I don't want to appear uncooperative or as if I can't handle the situation. Thoughts? So what would you say to this audience member?
That's another great question. That's a tough one too. I mean, the first thought that came to my mind is those team members who left, maybe they needed to leave. But that's a whole different side conversation. I'm just saying, I think we got to look at the big picture, but that's just me. But let me try to get a little bit in terms of being concrete here. I think, reframing cooperative for leadership, I think, is really important, right? I mean, leadership says push through, the team's already cracking. So, and I think, we talk about being cooperative. Cooperative doesn't mean silence, right? Bring the data, not complaints. Current workload per person, error/incident trend, if there's any. What else would you add? Projected state at month 1, 2, 3, if nothing changes. I think, reframing cooperative for leadership, I think, is important in this scheme. And I think also protecting the team's floor, not their ceiling, right? You can't stop the workload increase, but you can't decide, what doesn't get sacrificed. No unpaid overtime becomes mandatory. No one covers alone on the worst shift. Rotate who absorbs the hardest load would be some things I would think of as part of that process. And I think last, on your own limit, you model what you're asking your team to do too. You take the lead. If you don't name your own strain to someone, your leader, a peer, coach, you'll hit the wall. You're trying to help the rest of the team avoid. So I would just offer those thoughts as part of that. But that's a great question from the audience member.
Thank you, Dr. Dre. I love the where will the team be? What, 3, 4, 5 months later at this trend?
Yeah.
There'd be no team. Everybody quits. No, I'm, I'm kidding. But no, on a serious note, Dr. Loretta, what might you add?
I absolutely agree with what you said, Dr. Cheryl, and Dr. Dre too. So I think that could legitimately happen. But I think one of the things, we're honest, we're transparent. We let them know, hey, we understand that this is going on, and really find out what the priorities are. You cannot do everything. So now that we're so short-staffed and companies do it all the time, then somebody else, okay, you've got a new hat to wear. It's like I'm already wearing 50 and my head weighing down, so you're adding another hat to me. So what are the real priorities that are necessary to get done? And also, I think even for little wins or just sometimes just a compliment to people, I really appreciate what you're doing, but genuinely mean that. Don't just say it to say it, but genuinely mean that, because when people are working under that extra load, it's good to let them know how much you appreciate them. You really do. I mean, we all like to know that we're appreciated when we're doing even our regular job, let alone extra.
Yeah, no, thank you, Dr. Loretta. Jacqueline, anything you might add?
Well, I think what both Dr. Andre and what Dr. Loretta said really resonates for me. I also think it's just sometimes allowing the employee to express how they feel really breeds a lot. They feel good just being able to share. I also think it may be time to also ask, well, what do you need from me? What are some things that you might want to see that can be helpful for you and still meet the deadlines that we have before us? And when we put it back for them to think about it, at least it allows them to feel like there's a partnership and that you understand and that you're trying to work through it as the best way you can together.
No, thank you.
Love that.
Yep, I agree with what everyone is saying. I think certainly empathizing with the employee and encouraging the hearts of employees during that particular time is real important. And I also lean clearly into Dr. Dre's space and saying, as leaders, we have to assess the capacity that we have to deliver. And when what we're asking staff to do and what we've been given as resources to do, when it's not matching, it becomes important for us to be able to have those difficult conversations and say, you know, our capacity is limited. And with this limited capacity, what are the priorities, as Dr. Loretta was saying? What are the priorities? What might need to be backburnered for a period of time while we are preparing to staff up? Because even though Dr. Dre and I were kidding, over a period of time, if you have people stressed and strained for too long, then they may opt out before you can staff up again. So it is our responsibility as leaders to look at what we've been asked to do, to assess whether or not we have the human and other resources to do it, and then to have those difficult conversations with our upline as it relates to capacity and boundaries and priorities, so then we can give clear direction and realistic expectations to staff to move forward would be, my thought on that as well. So thank you again to our audience for that question. Dr. Dre, toss it to you.
Yeah, Dr. Sheryl, before break, you were talking to Jacqueline about, again, really helping leaders manage their own stress and talking about healthy coping. Jacqueline, we talk about that piece, but we also talk about the boundaries. And boundaries can be really tough for leaders. Boundaries, How can leaders set boundaries without feeling guilty? If there's such a thing.
Yeah, good. I think it's by reframing. The reframing is not necessarily for what other people hear, it's what we hear even within our own self. What are we saying about boundaries, right? And so reframing the boundaries as leadership hygiene. If I look at what I need to do to take care of my hygiene when it comes to leadership, then we're not withdrawing. You're protecting your ability to lead well, which will allow you to maybe move through and not burn out, where the team will suffer. And then they're more of an act of service to yourself and to the people around you. I had on one of my travels, I listened to the entertainment on American Airlines, and they have like TED Talks and different things that you can listen to. One of the talks that I listened to one day was by Yasmin Cheyenne, and she said how boundaries make space for the sweet things in life. And she uses the acronym SUGAR to represent boundaries. And she says, sugar, the S, say no. And then U is use your voice. G, give to yourself too. A, always check within. R, resist the urge to overgive. And if each one of us take the time to maintain our own sugar jars, we'd have the freedom that so many of us are seeking. The freedom to nurture relationships, to be the best that we can be for ourselves and others, freedom to see new places, and even the freedom to just be. with a full sugar jar, I'm sorry, we can be our best self. Excuse me. We can be our best self. And this also can be contagious to the people around us.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love that. Sugar. I love it.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, that sugar is great. I'll try to write down all those acronyms to remember for my own
Yeah,
self-care. Okay.
Mhm.
Let's try to flip the script just a little bit because sometimes leaders don't realize when they are actually stressing out their teams, and it could be the communication process or the lack of communicating well with them. So, what patterns do you feel tend to create unnecessary stress on a team?
Mhm. I think the rapid fire messages, last minute changes, unclear priorities. Um, the tone that I think matters is really being able to be clear in our communication without the panic. Sometimes we communicate in this rushed way where people around us feel it. And so managing and what am I feeling in my own body? Because if I'm feeling the tension, I'm more than likely passing that on to my team as well.
That's good.
Mhm. No, I appreciate that. And I think all these pieces tie together. I'll give Kat Donovan also a shout out. Next up, their Rising Star programs always have wonderful speakers, and there was a speaker. Her name was Kat Donovan, I believe is her last name. All right, or Kate, actually, it's Kit, I think, if I'm visualizing her name correctly. But anyway, she talked about boundaries, as Andre, you're asking Jacqueline about boundaries and how important setting boundaries are in order to not build resentment.
Mhm.
And so, also kind of going back to what Dr. Loretta was saying, where you're saying you can be a lot more generous when you don't have resentment, and you can have a lot more capacity to be generous if you're not resentful because you've set those boundaries. And so I say all these things are so important. And then, Jacqueline, as you talked about the leader taking care of themselves, um, I think that probably also folds into what you were talking about as relates to the tone and all those other things. So, kind of tying into that, because I think all those things are huge. And we know psychological safety really plays a role in how people show up and what they're willing to say or not say and push against or not push against. So, how can leaders create an environment where employees do feel safe to speak up?
I think what creates that safe space is to respond with curiosity instead of defensiveness. When an employee raises a concern, we want the leader's reaction to be, tell me more, and avoid what is referred to as, I would say, defensive words, which are you, should, ought, always, never, and then
Mhm.
lastly, but. Defensive words are usually felt in the messenger's body, but it's also felt in the receiver's body. And so they become closed.
Mhm.
And what we want, especially in a meeting, in a team, we want everyone to feel relaxed and open to be able to share because it stimulates each other and we can get more done, really, usually. And
Mhm.
so I always tell people that there's a martial arts called Aikido. And Aikido disarms or neutralizes attack. And so it moves away from you rather than in karate, it may be attack, attack, right? Which emphasizes the defensive strikes or punches. And then you want to move away from that. So if we create an environment that's Aikido to disarm, then we're allowing the curiosity to be there and we're allowing for more open communication and safety in that communication as well.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I love that. I can reflect on my own behavior and having said straight up no
Mm-hmm.
to staff about a suggestion, and then I have to laugh at myself as I look at their faces. Their faces, they don't, words may not come out their mouth, but their look says like, "All righty then." And then I have to say, "Okay, help me get to yes." I'm a no at the moment, but help me get to yes to open that conversation back up. So I can relate to what you're saying, and certainly be aware of my need to shift at times. So, Dr. Dre, let me toss it to you.
Yeah, I think we're up against a break too, Dr. Sheryl. I wanna-
Oh, okay. All right. So it
yeah.
looks like we're going to then honor that our need to take a break. But when we come back, we'll talk more about helping employees manage stress, and then some other maybe not so obvious advice that Jacqueline may be able to offer us as relates to our navigating this journey where we are, as leaders, trying to manage our own stress and stay fortified while we're protecting our teams and allowing them also to not be stressed out on the journey. So please stay with us, and we'll be right back with more on Leadership Matters, informing leaders, inspiring solutions.
Howard Communication Strategy Consultants, building stronger organizations through people. In today's rapidly changing business landscape, developing human capital is essential for companies to thrive. By investing in employee skills and fostering well-being, organizations can build a workforce with the expertise and adaptability needed to meet evolving challenges. Howard Communication Strategy Consultants, HCSC, provide detailed insights into current and future trends in human resource management and leadership development, allowing clients to streamline operations and lead with greater confidence. The team at HCSC works with companies of all sizes to evaluate current strategies, identify effective approaches, develop comprehensive plans, and measure progress regularly to ensure efforts deliver desired outcomes. With HCSC customized workshops and evaluations, experienced trainers develop programs tailored to each organization's specific needs and goals, resulting in improved employee engagement and effectiveness. Howard Communication Strategy Consultants. Call today and transform your workforce for tomorrow's success. 262-391-6076 or through email ask@howardcsc.com.
And we are back with more on Leadership Matters. Today, we're talking about managing stress in the workplace, what leaders can do to stay fortified, as well as protect their teams. And with us today, helping us have that conversation, is Jacqueline Manley. And Jacqueline is a licensed marriage family therapist in both California and Texas. So thanks again, Jacqueline, for being with us today.
Thank you. My pleasure in being here.
Yes, and I have my fabulous co-host with us as well, Dr. Loretta and Dr. Undraye Howard, who have written a fabulous book. I'm going to give them an opportunity to share that with us now. Dr. Dre.
Yeah, this is kind of a beautiful quick read on some leadership lessons, and we just pose the question around: is this the way it's supposed to be? Is this the way leadership is supposed to be? So, this quick read is nestled in some wonderful lived experience stories at the beginning of each chapter, with some work sheets at the end, where folks can kind of do some further development. as part of that process, but it just answers some real essential questions, really the existential question around is this the way it's supposed to be? Is this how leadership is supposed to turn out? Is it how it's supposed to operate? So we try to put a little humor in there, although I'm not as humorous as Dr. Loretta is. But we try to make it fun, and it's a quick read and a great read, and hopefully people will get a copy and enjoy it and drop us a line. Let us know what you think as well. So
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. We look forward to having a discussion on that
yes,
topic. So we'll be looking
absolutely.
forward to actually doing a podcast highlighting some of the fabulous lessons that
Yeah,
both yourself, Dr. Andre, and Dr. Loretta have woven
yeah.
into those pages. So, Dr. Dre, I'll toss it back over to you.
Great. Oh, so, Jacqueline, again, enjoying the conversation. This is great. We probably need 3 hours for this discussion because it really is rich and robust. So,
Easily.
again, appreciate your insight and wisdom. Let's talk about how we help employees manage stress, right? So, supporting employees directly, supportive leadership. What can leaders do when they notice an employee is stressed in the workplace? What's some suggestions around that?
Yeah. I think validation, recognizing that they are under a lot of pressure, and maybe it's pressure not only just work related, oftentimes it's also personal related, right? Um, and so then asking what would be helpful to them for us to support, what do they need? Sometimes the clarity also breeds the resources. I think Dr. Loretta mentioned earlier the EAP, using your EAP. A lot of companies do offer it. And so that's something that I would say take advantage of and use. And sometimes it's just reprioritizing what needs to be done and how it needs to be done, right? That can help. I think as long as they're feeling heard and validated, it just breeds a lot of comfort and wellness, and it helps them to keep moving through.
Mm.
Great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and I just want to keep weaving and tying these things together because the previous question around the psychological safety and employees being willing to share and to say, hey, I got a lot on. If the psychological safety is not there, then people won't share. And very often as leaders, we don't always remember what's on everybody's plate. And so it becomes it's just like a cycle here with regards to when they share that,
Mhm.
really being um, intentional about setting priorities. I heard you say the priority piece and encouraging the heart, because I know that that gives us emotional energy. And then when we clarify priorities, it then helps a person have mental energy, and all those energy sources kind of add to morale of the individual and the team. So it's really nice to see how these different pieces weave together. Dr. Loretta.
Thank you for that. Well, we know in a workplace that workloads can actually spike. It just depends on what's going on. Many times that's external factors. But one of the things I'm curious about, how can leaders actually balance productivity with well-being? But also, I just want to add to that, you know how some organizations will tell people, oh, we have a work-life balance. I want to know, do you really think there is such a thing as that for leaders?
And you know what? I think I'm going to start with that. I think it's
Okay.
imperative that we have work-life balance. Because again, if you're empty, then what you're going to pour into other people is a lot of emptiness. You're going to feel it and they're going to feel it. So it sounds like just, cloaking words, but it's
Hmm.
very important to, as a leader, to be that person to have and exhibit the work-life balance. And everyone's work-life balance is very different. So there is no cookie cutter for that either.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
that.
and then the
Mhm.
first part, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead. What
Yeah,
are you going to
that's
say,
okay.
Dr.
No, I
Cheryl?
was going to say that take it. I think about Karen Jones. She also is with Next Step, one of the executive leaders there, and she talks about work-life integration and
Mhm.
and how that can look different for different ones. A lot of times you have enough flexibility, then I can integrate different things. And to your point,
Mhm.
Jacqueline, that work-life balance is going to look different for everyone. I read a book. It was it was happiness. Wait,
Happy-
language in the pursuit of happiness. And it
Mhm.
talked about finding our balance between peace and productivity. Like what is that balance between peace? Initially, I thought that was kind of a weird concept or equation or answer for happiness, yet it makes a lot of sense. Is there that space and that time, going back to what Jacqueline said around, just being able to meditate, being able to simply be and breathe, and versus doing all the time. So do I always have to be in the space of doing and productivity, or can I simply be in the space where I'm
Mhm.
being re-energized and can simply be and can do that first letter in your meds, meditate? Um,
Yeah.
and that last word in your med, sleep.
Yes, getting this is important.
Yeah,
Um,
tossing it back, Dr. Loretta or Jacqueline, where were you?
well,
Yes.
the second part of her question, which was the first
Yeah.
part of her question, and it's making the trade-offs explicit. It's if something new or urgent comes up, what can be deprioritized?
Mm-hmm.
Stress rockets when everything seems to be equally important.
Mm-hmm.
So consider what can we do in modeling, supporting, and rewarding the behavior that we're wanting. Are we logging off and engaging in self-care? Are we taking vacations or staycations? Are we supporting autonomy and being flexible when we can? And when we can't, if we're doing those other things, we kind of get love nuggets in the basket of being able to have a team that's going to support, right? So proactive communication, rewarding ourselves and others, what comes in us also goes through us. And so we have to model that ourselves.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Loretta. Thank you, Jacqueline.
Yeah, it was
Dr.
also
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
whole
Mhm.
this whole balance to work-life balance,
Mhm.
integration. I think is you said the new term. I
Mhm.
mean,
Well, work-life integration was another one I heard Karen
okay,
Jones speak
okay,
about. I thought she
okay.
did a fabulous
Yeah.
job of presenting
Yeah,
that.
but isn't it all pie in the sky kind of stuff? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, life is stressful, folks. And I
Mhm.
get it. I know we're trying to achieve some kind of utopia moment for ourselves in the workplace and really minimize stress. But I'm thinking to myself, there's also a benefit to stress too, right? Stress motivates.
Mhm.
Stress pushes people to do their best and to be their best. And so, I don't know if we should let off the gas on stress because I think stress is good. Stress motivates folks. It pushes people to their best in
Mhm.
terms of limits and just pulling people what's inside them out. So I don't want to demonize stress either.
Mhm. Well,
I mean,
appropriate levels of stress,
yeah.
Right.
you know,
Thank you,
can
Dr.
be
Cheryl.
helpful.
Yes.
Can be helpful. But
Yeah.
when stress stays high for prolonged periods of time, then we're moving into what would be unhealthy levels of stress. But I'll
Right.
let Dr. I'm going to call you Dr. Jacqueline. I'll let you say more with regards to um, our agitator's question as relates to, isn't stress just a wonderful thing and we should just stress everybody out?
Well, I'm not saying stress everyone out, but I'm just saying don't demonize stress all the time. I mean, sure,
Well, no, we
a
understand
healthy
that
amount of
stress is
stress is
good.
good.
Stress is
Right,
how
right,
our body
right.
responds
Absolutely.
to change. So if we
Absolutely.
had no stress, yeah, that would be terrible. We would be dead.
Right.
And
Right.
in their limits. So, Jacqueline, you want to say something to that?
Well, I think I hear what he's saying, and I agree 100% with you, Dr. White, is that there are some times where stress is needed and necessary, right?
Mhm.
I think it takes balance. And I also think that too much stress, or better yet, stress unchecked,
Hmm.
causes, it's like the kissing cousin of depression.
Mm.
And so if we don't take care of the stress, then more chances than not, the person is going to also have a depression. When you have depression, it's a whole different ball of wax.
That's right.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Right.
We used to think of that in the terms of the kissing cousins being anxiety and depression, but at
Mhm.
work, we call it, well, I say at home, we call it depression. At work, we call it burnout. And it's the same thing, a bad thing. And we want to figure out how do we support ourselves and those who
Mhm.
report in through our areas of responsibility. How do we help prevent it? Because burnout's a terrible space, or depression, a terrible space to be. Looks
Right.
like we need to take a last break. If we're going to do that real quick here and come back, and Jacqueline will ask you to share if there's some non-obvious, advice that maybe leaders don't think of or they rarely think of about stress that would be good to put on their radar screen. So stay with
Okay.
us. We'll be right back with more on Leadership Matters with the People's Doctors, informing leaders, inspiring solutions.
Leadership Matters is brought to you by Innovisions. Need to improve leadership, staff, or organization performance? Contact Innovisions today for quality, effective, and affordable leadership, staff, and organization development training, coaching, and consulting services. Call 619-453-8093. That's 619-453-8093. Or send an email to Dr. White. Her email address is swhite@neighborhoodhouse.org. Innovisions is a social enterprise of the Neighborhood House Association of San Diego, California. Funds raised go to support the Neighborhood House Association's mission to enrich lives through a continuum of education and wellness service.
And we are back with more on Leadership Matters. Delighted today to have Jacqueline Manley with us as we explore this topic of managing stress in the workplace, what leaders can do to stay fortified and protect their teams. So, Jacqueline, any non-obvious advice, but important to kind of put on the radar screen that you might give us regarding stress?
I think leaders really underestimate how their energy sets the tone. I know from the beginning, I shared my story where I was clueless as to my energy because it was very normal for me. But your energy really sets the tone. Even if you're saying the right words, but your body language and the pace of which you communicate shows up in a different alignment, it can set a tone of a lot of anxiety and pushback. So you want to be aware, and that's really important. And having that leadership skill helps the team. Yeah.
Then Dr. Loretta, you want to jump in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah. We are asking all of our guests this one question. So if you could give your younger self one piece of leadership advice, what would it be?
Ooh, good question.
Mhm.
I think it's me being aware of the stress. I think we normalize it, and I've normalized it to the fact that I don't necessarily recognize it where other people did. And I think that would be the advice, is to really pay attention and to know how I'm moving in those space that I move in, so I can recognize sooner, one, for myself, my own mental health and wellness, right? And so then I can also show up and be my best self for others.
Wonderful. Thank you. Dr.
Thank
Dre.
you.
Yeah, any one piece of advice, Jacqueline, you would give? I mean, I got to get this off my chest. I'm sorry. I just think leaders certainly experience stress, and you don't have to answer this,
Oh,
Jacqueline.
yeah.
But I also think that I'm just stuck in thinking to myself, leaders need to share stress with the rest of the team. I don't know. That's just too much on a leader to manage and to deal with stress and not share that. I mean, we share the rewards with teams when we, hit accomplishments. I just maybe that's more for Dr. Loretta, Dr. Cheryl will be answering, because I'm sorry for going off script here, Jacqueline, but I'm thinking to myself, if I'm stressed as a leader, because leaders have a lot of stress, I need to share that stress. I need to let the team know, look, y'all, I'm stressed. I got a lot on my plate, a lot of pressure, and they need to feel a little bit of that. And I don't know if I'm wrong in being able to share that as a leader to a team because I have done that
Mhm.
in full transparency. So I don't know if I was wrong in doing that or not.
You were wrong and you should have gone to EAP.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. There you
Come
go.
on.
That's a
That
good
part right
answer.
there.
Girl,
That's
Dr.
Good
Jacqueline,
answer.
what were you going to say?
Yeah, I think that was a great answer because everyone's level of stress and their capacity of which they can handle the stress may differ. And so I think because of that, and we're no cookie cutter copy of one another, we have to really, in a workplace, know that we're a team and we want to operate from that space. And we wouldn't put with, let's say, using baseball as a analogy, you wouldn't put the batter up that cannot hit the ball out the park. And what we need when the bases are full, we need someone who's going to hit that ball, have a better chance of hitting that ball out of the park. And so we can say we can all hit the ball, but is their capacity to do it out of the park the same? And so we want to have people operate in a space of which they can really build up the team to make a home run.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank
I
you,
like
Dr.
that
Gray.
analogy.
And thank you, Jacqueline. Jacqueline, if our listeners want to get in touch with you, how might they do so?
You can always reach me, I think, at jmanleyconsulting@gmail.com.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And final thoughts from Dr. Dre, Dr. Loretta, any final thoughts from
I
either?
am looking forward to the rest of the series this month on stress and leadership. I just think it's a timely discussion, and I think you've heard me already express myself. I don't know. I think stress gets demonized a bit too much. I think there's a balance, obviously, but I also think that as a leader, if we share accomplishments, if we share hitting the goal, we should be sharing things like I'm stressed. I should be able to say I'm stressed. And then how does that manifest itself? How does that show? Is it okay for me to show my emotions as a part of that process to say, hey, folks, I just need to vent. Is it okay for me to vent and yell and scream and cry and, whatever it takes? I think
Dr.
I'm just looking
Loretta,
forward to
is
the
there like a
discussion.
room with a pad in there?
I know.
I'm
He
just,
he
I'm
is
looking
at
forward to
another
it.
location
And,
right now. He
Yeah.
hasn't
and,
come home,
and I
but I feel
started
like I
to
need
count
this
how
other.
many times Dr. Dre
Yeah.
said, we should, right?
Yes,
And what
the
he was
language.
saying. And the language, it makes you
Mhm.
feel constricted and
Okay.
stressed. And so
Mhm.
what we're doing is just
Mhm.
pushing that energy to others around us.
Right.
So yes, I could see why we wouldn't understand why other people shouldn't.
Mhm.
It's because I'm using language that is not going to allow myself
Mhm.
to be able to be calm in the environment.
Yeah, Dr. Dre is our resident devil's advocate.
Oh, no, no,
So,
Always.
I love it.
so,
no.
but
No,
and
no.
I do agree that obviously, like literally, clinically, if there were no stress, we would be dead.
Mhm.
Stress is how we respond to, is how our bodies and everything else responds to change. So, and that's always happening and going. So,
Mhm.
yes, there's some positive elements to stress, and it's the dosage, right?
Mhm.
Dr. Loretta, any final
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah, final thoughts. Yeah, self-awareness. That's really good that Dr. Dre identifies that. But it made me think of a scenario. It's like I'm stressed because I've just been told I've got to maybe eliminate 5 people's
Mhm.
jobs. So I'm going to come out to my team and say, I'm so stressed. I got to get rid of 5 of y'all. What am I going to do? Now I have put some unnecessary stress on my team, and they wondering, who's she gonna get rid of? Who's gonna stay? Or they might all quit, or
Mhm.
who knows? I mean, but unduly stress on them. So I
Mhm.
don't think we need to always pass it on. We can be transparent enough to say, yes, there's a lot going on. We have to deal with that kind of thing, but it's all in how you do it. And if you start ranting, raving, and screaming, I'm walking
Mhm.
out right then. But anyway, with that said,
Mhm.
Jacqueline, I have
Well,
just enjoyed you so much, and listening to you, it made me think too a lot of Stephen Covey's sharpening the saw, things that people
Mhm.
still need to remember. So I have absolutely enjoyed you. And again, I
yes,
agree. We could have
absolutely.
been on here for 3 hours or more just discussing
Mhm.
this. It
Aw,
was
Mhm.
great.
thank
It was
you.
great.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for
Yes,
having
thank
me.
you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much to my co-host and certainly thank you, Jacqueline, for being
Yes.
with us and sharing your expertise with us. Um, and I'll invite our listening audience to please continue to send in topics as well as questions to Leadership Matters questions at innovisions, innovisions.org. And please join us every Wednesday at 2 p.m. on YouTube or download the podcast at your convenience. We drop new episodes every Thursday on Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, as well as Spotify. So until next time, keep on keeping on for the greater, making your leadership matter.